All right, welcome in everybody. It is Monday night. We are back. And, as I was just telling our guests before we started, we are in the heart of baseball season, but, we want to mix it up. We are all about getting the story of the college athlete. And me and Daniel, we love some gymnastics. And who better to talk to than Faith Torres from Oklahoma Gymnastics? How are you doing tonight?
I'm good.
We are excited to have you. I know the season just ended, but we're gonna recap it. We're gonna recap your career, get the story. But before we do, let's talk about the Core Hydration Classic just happened. Did you by chance get to see it? And if so, what'd you think?
It was amazing. I did watch a little bit here and there. I was on a flight, so I couldn't watch the full thing. But I was getting updates from my best friend because I was just so curious. We have a lot of recruits out there, so it's really great to see all the girls and how great they are looking. Especially, I was watching Simone. She looks fabulous. I was excited to see all the big names, and they're just doing so great, especially with the Olympic year coming up. They all look really great.
Yeah, it's fun for me because I, am newer to the gymnastics world. Daniel's kind of brought me along, but to see some of our college guests competing along with some of these names like Simone, right? And see them on the same, competing course and doing the same thing. And it's kind of cool. I went from watching them at the PMAC to their, on the biggest stage with the biggest names. So it's pretty cool. But speaking of one of those names, I got to ask you, we were talking about Connor McLean, and she had the Achilles. When you talk about LSU specifically, Alana Shenikova just had it. The year before you had Kaya Johnson. We do baseball a lot, and they talk about the wear and tear on the elbow, and it seems like it's almost not if but when you're going to hurt it at some point. And it seems like in gymnastics, because of the impact of y'all's landings, the rigorous training that you do, it almost seems like the same thing. Do you feel like with the Achilles, with more times than not, if you avoid an Achilles injury, you probably got lucky?
I would say so. Being a gymnast, our lower bodies, like the ankles, like anything like that, that is like where everybody is hurting mostly. I can't like speak for everybody. This is me personally too. Like the lower body is really what gets a gymnast and it sucks. Like the ankles, anything, the Achilles, like it's our worst nightmare, I would say. So every gymnast, like seeing somebody who goes through an injury like that, like we all just feel so hard for that person, even if you don't know them like personally, because you just know how it is in gymnastics.
Yeah, I think that speaks to gymnastics as a whole. We talk about that all the time, the respect from team to team, competitor to competitor. And when you see someone hurt, yeah, you know how much time they have put in. So you feel for them undoubtedly. So with you being a student at Oklahoma, I don't know how much you've gotten to pay attention, not trying to put you on the spot. The baseball team is making a massive push this season. Have you been able to get to any baseball games?
I have not, but I have a lot of teammates who love supporting them and they go all the time and they say how fun it is. I've only actually been to one baseball game at OU and it was great, but I need to get out there more, I would say.
Well, I don't know if you will be back home or if you will be around Oklahoma, but it looks as if they're going to get to host for the postseason. And if there's anything me and Daniel know, the environment when you're in the postseason is absolutely electric. It's, no different than when y'all are in Fort Worth. Just it's a lot of fans from different teams just cheering. So if you do happen to get the opportunity, it would be worth your time. Oklahoma's got a really good baseball team. Obviously, y'all are good at sports across the board. It's one of the great things about going there, but just something that I would say take in. But switching gears to music, gotta know, who would you say you're vibing with the most, artist or group? And then if you could go see anyone, who would you go see?
Um, well, I definitely love my country music. It's my favorite genre. I love Morgan Wallen. I would love to see him in concert. I would also really love to see Luke Combs. I was supposed to go to a concert, but um, plans changed and shifted, so I wasn't able to go. But I definitely want to see him in concert too.
If you could go see Luke Combs anywhere, where would you go?
Um, I don't know. I've always wanted to go to Nashville too. So seeing him there would be really cool.
Yeah, it feels like you can't go wrong seeing a country music artist in Nashville. I've done it myself. definitely worth the trip. So staying on that same kind of topic, traveling to cities, you know,
She gets that come get me look in her eyes.
I
Daniel's
mean,
doing what
can
he
you
always does.
can you picture this? Walking down Broadway in Nashville, just falling into some
You can't
bar,
picture it because you don't go to
and
Nashville. You're not a
boom,
Nashville guy.
I'm too. I mean, listen to Luke Combs. I mean, that's the voice of an
Daniel,
angel.
let me ask you a question. What was your thought process? I'm gonna sidetrack to you for a second. What was your thought process when you saw me traveling through Nashville and into East Tennessee away from Memphis on National Barbecue Day?
That's a damn shame. That's a sin.
And then the worst
I
part was
hope.
I tweeted that out and they started giving me barbecue spots. I was like, no, that's just not gonna
Stop.
do it. I gotta
Stop.
go back home. All right. So if you could travel to one city, Faith, from maybe watching sports to taking in the food, taking in the culture, what's that one spot that you would love to go to?
Hmm, I don't
And I know
know.
that's a loaded question. If you just had to, right now, you're picking, somebody says, you got 10 minutes and we're going to get you a ticket, go board the flight.
I don't know. I love Texas. I would always go there. I love Texas.
I say a
Or
flight anywhere, Daniel. She picked somewhere
It's
in driving
Texas.
distance. Golly.
yeah, or like if it was like international, I would go to like Hawaii.
There we go. I mean, let's get off the mainland here.
I mean, that's a beautiful place, but I don't know as far as internationally, if Hawaii qualifies.
Yeah, because it's like
It's part of the
already.
states. I mean,
Or
we
like
ha-
Bora Bora is also really pretty, I
now,
think.
now we're talking. Bora Bora, Turks and Caicos. Let's go. Let's-
They need a gymnastics classic, for Oklahoma. And they obviously started in Vegas this year, but they need one off the mainland, Daniel, because in college basketball, right? Like Memphis is Memphis fans. They do it quite often. They go down to like the Bahamas. Like, we need a gymnastics classic.
Yeah.
yeah, why not? I
Daniel,
mean,
make a call, bro.
let me get it set up down in Bora Bora.
Hey, you haven't been able to get away much because of the kids being small and everything. But if, let's just say they had something going down in Bora Bora, would that be the one you try to get away with your wife to go check out?
Yeah, I'm not going with kids though. That's
Oh,
for
that's why I
sure.
said wife. Notice I did not say wife and kids. I said wife.
Bora Bora would turn into the worst place on earth if I had to take kids there. For sure. It wouldn't be much of a vacation. Let's put it that way. No, I love my kids. They make life worth living. But speaking of kids, let's take it back, Faith, when you were a kid. Tell me a little bit about home. Where are you from?
I'm from Wisconsin. So like it's like right on the border of Illinois, so like Kenosha, Bristol area. I grew up here like my whole life.
Kenosha. All right. What's back home, if you were going to go back home, what's the one thing that you got to do, go see, go eat? What is that one thing?
Um, well, every time I come home, I always want my mom's cooking, like anything homemade, stuff like that. But I also really like Portillo's here. We don't have that in Oklahoma. It's in Illinois though. It's like 20 minutes from me. I love Portillo's.
Let
It's
me
so
tell you
good.
something though, Daniel. I went to Wisconsin once when I was stationed in Illinois, and it was so cold there, so cold that I'm never going back ever. And Kenosha was where my train got off. I'm not going back, Daniel.
The Kenosha Kickers. You ever heard of them?
No, I couldn't feel my face. I couldn't hear anything.
Well, let me tell you something. I can appreciate home cooked meals. So if you're gonna put mom on the spot, give her a shout out. What's the one meal that she has to cook for you?
I love mashed potatoes. That's kind of what I beg her for. So much that she makes me peel all the potatoes now so that she has less work to do. So, Yeah, I would say that with some like cube steak is really good with gravy.
Mm, that's see now that's a Wisconsin meal, Jim. That's hearty and like soul filling. Like it just makes you feel good.
It sounds great, but I still have to travel there, and it's gotta not be winter. I'm just telling you, you didn't feel what I felt. It was December. The wind was blowing so hard. It was terrible.
Went to a coaches convention in Chicago and it was -1, and I was like, not a chance. Like I said, you know what? I got to get out of here. But so you talk about Wisconsin, talk about mom. You got any brothers, sisters? You got dad? What's family life like?
I have two older brothers. We're about 5 years apart. We were really close growing up, and I loved growing up with older brothers, especially because like I was the youngest, so and the only girl. So like I look back and I was like, I was really spoiled. I definitely was. And I'm definitely a daddy's girl for sure.
Were, growing up with two older brothers, were they like bodyguards or were they like tough love?
A little bit of both, I would say. A very heavy on the bodyguards, though, I would say. Very protective. But I love that. So
I mean, I think your dad, it seems to me like your dad sat him down and was like, look, guys, this is how it's going to roll. Don't let me hear Faith anything happening to her because I ain't going to her. I'm coming to you two.
yep, that's pretty much how it was.
I mean, that's how it's got to be. I feel like that's the way of the world. That's how it should work. But obviously you're growing up. You're the youngest of three. At what age do you start getting into gym?
Around 3 or 4. So I would say compared to a lot of other people, that was kind of like late, I would say. I was like, I grew up kind of flipping around, and my mom was a gymnast too. So she put me in it just to try it. She didn't think I was going to love it as much as I did, but that's kind of how I got into it.
So it was really probably this is so I put myself in those shoes of your mom because my daughter, the reason I put her in gymnastics at an early age is because she was running on the couch and flipping and jumping off. And like, I thought that at least if she fell, she needed to learn how to fall or do it properly, or at least have an area or a place to go where she can get all of that out.
Yeah.
And so, at 2, I put her in gymnastics, and I'm sure you're well aware at 2, it's like more fun than it is. You're learning like foundational skills, and it's more like a lot of play, but you are getting the basics from that play. But yeah, like I thought that having her be in gymnastics was going to curb what she did at home. It only magnified it. And she became more of a daredevil. And now, like, it's ridiculous because now she's 6 and she's been doing it for 4 years. And now she thinks that she is, invincible. And that's great in some aspects, but in others, it's like, please just land on your feet.
Yeah, I get that.
So, but you started training. Like, at what point does it become competitive for you? And it's not like learning basics, but it's like, all right, like I'm on a team now, and like I got to take this training seriously.
Yeah, I feel like it took me a little bit to really like grasp the whole team and like this is competitive and whatnot. Just remember like my first like level 4 meet or something like that. My parents were like, all right, like we got to get ready for your meet. And I'm like, what's a meet? Like, what am I going to kind of thing? Um, and so then going throughout all the levels, I was like skipping levels kind of and like competing one just to go to the next one, like qualifying out of it and all this stuff. And I was just kind of there, like having fun. So then I think I started to grasp it around level 7, I would say. You get your own floor routine then. And I was so excited to be like the older girls and stuff like that. So I think around level 7, I was like, okay, like this is my life, and it's
At what
competitive.
age are you at a when you become a level 7? How old are you?
I was a little bit on the younger side. I think I was around 8 years old ish. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
It's crazy. You could, you think of how far you've come now, and like you're a level 7, at 8 years old, and it's just unbelievable. You talked about skipping around and doing your thing, and you eventually go, all right, well, now is where I have my own floor routine. Now is the point where like it's this is on me to push myself. The coaches are going to be there. They're going to coach me. But if I want if I want to pursue this any further, I'm going to have to throw some intensity and some serious like focus to this.
Yeah.
Did you have any influences in your life? I know mom was a gymnast, and you said, dad, you're a daddy's girl, but who was the biggest influence in your gymnastics career?
Um, well, oh wow. Um, I was always the youngest on my team, I would say. So I looked up to a lot of the older girls on my team. They were around like 16 years old, already in high school, and I'm like just starting maybe middle school or getting out of that. So I always had an older girl to look up to, which was really nice. Um, but also on the family side, I'd say my grandpa was very, very supportive of me. He would always like take the medals from my meet and like get the placement on the back and the score and stuff, like, and add that. So that was really nice. But he was a really, really big supporter.
That's it's awesome. People say it takes a village, and it really does. Like a sport like gymnastics, where the the amount of room for error is so minute. Like you got to be able to fall back on some type of support system, because there's going to be a lot of failures. There's going to be a lot of close misses. There's going to be a lot of successes too, but it's a very, very small margin of winning and losing, or first and second, or whatever you want to put to that. So having those people to fall back on is huge. But it looks like whoever was in your camp, whoever was on your side, it made a difference, because you were a former elite level gymnast at Legacy Elite Gymnastics. You're a former member of the senior national team, 4-time Junior Olympic national champion qualifier, 3-time Nastia Lukin Cup participant, 3-time Junior Olympic national team member, member of the 2022 USA development team. And, I could do this for days, like literally like the accolades. I'm going to stop, because like it would literally consume the whole episode if we went down
Too many
all
big
the
words in there
accolades.
too, bro. You already had to do too many.
I know it's a lot. I mean, when you talk
You're
about
lucky I left the coach's
gymnastics,
name up. As a matter of fact, I'm putting Faith to the test. What was your coach's name at the club you were at?
oh,
At
she
which
knows.
I switched to clubs, which
Uh, give me
like
both. One of them's hard. I want to hear it.
well, the first one was Alyssa. I don't remember
Dang.
his name. And then the second one was Gianni, Yuju, and Anna.
Yeah, that's the one. But if you include first and last names of the three coaches, it was on the SI department page. I was like, I'm not even putting that on Daniel's notes because I ain't trying to do that to my guy.
Wait,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that, because I would have butchered it. You know,
Yeah, they're
um, well, that's the thing. Like there are a lot of American gymnastics coaches, but there are a lot of foreign coaches as well, and obviously the names. I mean, you see the Olympics, you know what the foreign names look like. They're not easy. So my hats off to anybody who has to run down the lineup of those names. But the big thing I want to get to, you mentioned middle school and interacting with older teammates that were in high school, but we've talked to many gymnasts, and at your level and your caliber, at a young age, they start thinking about homeschool. Um, did you homeschool?
I did. I started right after seventh grade.
And so, what was the biggest difference, would you say, between, I mean, take gymnastics out of it, just personally, going to school and then all of a sudden not going to school, what was the biggest difference between those two for you?
I would say getting the schedules rolling and like finding a groove of when the best time is to do my school and actually really focus on doing that. Cause you know, you wake up, you go to school and like that's it. Like you have your day planned out. I think the first day of like online classes, I like open my laptop. It's like an orientation video and stuff like that. And then you're just kind of like on your own for like schooling and you're just like I don't know where to start. And so my mom really helped me out with that. She was kind of like a teacher to me, I think. But she really helped me out with like time management with that stuff and everything.
So, how many hours? I mean, what was the balance between hours of school and then hours of training? Well, what did a typical day, I guess, look like for you?
Yeah, I would probably wake up in the morning around 8-ish. I would eat, do whatever I needed to do, and then I would go to like not go to school, but start my schoolwork. And then I would typically have practice around 12:30, but it also took me an hour, give or take, to get to practice. So I would do school in the morning at home, get ready for practice. And then if there was any extra school that I needed to do, I would do it in the car while my dad drove me. And then I would go to practice until around 6 or 7, just depended on the day. And then I would come home and eat dinner and do school if I needed to. So it was just kind of whenever I wasn't in the gym, I was doing school, I would say. So yeah.
With I say freedom, but it's really the flexibility of the schedule. Did you ever get sick of doing school? Where you just like, I'm gonna come home and like the last thing I want to do is like do some more schoolwork?
Yeah, obviously you have your moments like that. You know, if you come home from like a hard practice or like a bad practice, you're just kind of like, that's not what I want to do. Um, but yeah, I definitely had my moments.
So as you're training, you got your homeschool going on, you're doing a lot of training, as a kid before, prior to college, what is your favorite event?
Um, beam and floor.
Beam. Let me tell you something about beam. It takes someone of high high skill and high mental fortitude to go, yeah, beam is my favorite event because it is a beast. It is like the gauntlet, the
I mean,
deciding factor. It is. I've
Jane,
seen
once
Jim
Aaliyah
try to get
Finnegan
on a
came on
balance
here,
beam.
once
It's
Aaliyah
quite
Finnegan
funny.
came on here and said she don't even like Beam as the Beam Queen, like, of course, she's not the Beam Queen anymore. I mean, that's space title, really.
Oh my gosh.
For sure. We've seen it.
But
We
yes,
know.
to his point, I got on the beam. I was going to try to originally, because there was the foam pit behind me, I was going to actually try to flip off of it. I had so much trouble just standing on it. Yeah, that was a no-go. Like I was content with what I had done.
Yeah. I feel like people don't realize like how small the beam is actually. And then I saw this thing on Twitter. It was like, well, just hold up your smartphone and that's about the length of the beam. And everybody was like like crazy about it.
Yeah, it's what I thought was interesting is Jim talks about he was going to flip off of it, and this is the first that I'm hearing of that. But if you saw the video that I saw, you would know damn well that he ain't doing no flips on it
The
because
flip
it
was
was a
before, the
it,
flip thought was before I got on it. That was when I was not realizing anything. Once I got up there, it was never a thought.
you know, and I think people underestimate how tough it is to actually get on it, but not necessarily get on it to stand up on it because like they call it the balance beam for a reason. If you don't have balance, like it's going to eat you up.
Yeah.
So
Well, and for what it's worth, Faith, I didn't even know I was being recorded. I was so busy trying to get up on it. Alona Shevakova was recording me, and then they were just giggling, and they're like, "I feel like we should." In the background, they're narrating. They're like, "I feel like we should help him," but I didn't want any help. I got up there, I walked a few steps, and I was like, "I'm good," and jumped off it. I was like, "I don't even want to be up here no more." But I did have my shoes on too, which from what I understand, was the biggest mistake. But I was just doing the viewers a favor. Don't nobody want to see a 40-year-old man's toes.
Oh, you know, it was a great video, but it was very telling on how difficult the balance beam actually is. So we do have that footage.
What we
It's out
don't have the
there.
video, Daniel, that we don't talk about much, but I'll bring it to faith, was me swinging on the bars without grips. And after I
Oh,
did one full rotation around, I cursed to the heavens because I was pretty sure I had ripped all the skin off my hand. And so let me tell you, don't ever, as if we're telling people don't get on a beam, don't swing on a bar without grips.
Yeah, don't do it. So obviously, all this training, all this hard work pays off. You end up going to Oklahoma, but I gotta ask, was there any thoughts of any other schools, or was it Oklahoma out the gate?
Oklahoma definitely always had my eye, and always it was always number one for me. Like that was my dream school. Of course, like there was other schools reaching out, and I would talk to them and just see what they had to offer because you never know, like and whatnot. So I definitely had a couple other schools there, but Oklahoma was definitely my dream school that I really wanted to go to.
You know, when someone says they went, to Oklahoma to pursue gymnastics, it's a silly question to say, well, why Oklahoma? Because, well, they're the best. That's why. Um, you know, but I'm gonna ask because, it's more to, obviously there's a lot of talented ladies out there and they pick numerous schools for a variety of reasons. What was it about Oklahoma? Was it solely gymnastics and the program itself, or was there coaches? Was it the culture? Was it the school? What was it about Oklahoma where you're like, this is my place?
Yeah. Well, it was of course always like the gymnastics aspect. Like they were amazing. The coaches were amazing. The coaches have been there for so long, which a lot of other schools don't have that. And then also going on my official visit and just taking a tour, even beforehand when I went to go and visit, seeing the culture that the school has, it's like so different from anything that I've ever seen. The traditions, they are so heavy on the traditions. So like football games, they are crazy. They like block off the roads. It's amazing. And I love that side of Oklahoma. And I feel like a lot of people don't really see that. Like they see their football team on like TV, everything like that. But going to like sporting events, it's like crazy to see the traditions and the culture that they bring. And I think that's something that I also really loved about Oklahoma.
I
So
think if you think that aspect is crazy now, just wait until next year
Yeah.
being the
because
SEC.
yeah, I think it's gonna, not that it's gonna change what they do, but I think the magnitude of it will be a little bit higher just because now it's like, well, now everyone's looking at them as, well, you're part of the SEC, whatever that means.
I mean, we really haven't talked about it much, but since you brought it up, Daniel, it wasn't even in the script or the notes, but teams like Missouri and Kentucky that are building up in the SEC are like, damn, man, we're finally starting to get relevant in the SEC, and here comes Oklahoma. Like, are you serious? Like, that's it's not ideal for those teams that have been building themselves up in the SEC, but talking about coming from Wisconsin to Norman, Oklahoma, you talked about all the different things, just talk about that culture shock. I mean, I've been to both, so I know for you, when you talk about not just visiting one, but you go from living in one to the other, just how much of a culture shock was it?
It was definitely a huge culture shock for me. And now like bringing my family down there, like they're just like in awe. Like they didn't expect Oklahoma to like be something like this. And so like bringing my cousins down, my aunts, they're like, this is amazing. And I'm like, you just have to come for a football game. And like it's even better. So yeah.
So you're there and you're getting acclimated. And one of our favorite questions to ask is because we're high on character. And when we talk about character, we know you got high character, but it's all about, who took you under their wing. So when you get there, and maybe it wasn't just one, maybe it's a couple people, But what upperclassmen, when you came in, kind of showed you the ropes and kind of, brought you in, made you feel more comfortable.
My senior class when I came in as a freshman was awesome. It was so easy to talk to them, which is kind of crazy to think about, going in there as a freshman, like the seniors, like sometimes they're intimidating. But I think they were so great at like talking to us and really making us comfortable. So like my seniors were like Allie Stern, Olivia Troutman, Jenna Dunn, and yeah, um, they were amazing. And I still talk to like every single one of them to this day. So even though they're gone, I still like lean back on them, which is awesome to say.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all that you say that. Like I said, the gymnastics culture is just something that a lot of other sports don't have. The way that y'all are like family, the way y'all root for each other. I've never seen a sport where others root for someone's success equally, if not more, than their own. The camaraderie. So it's just really something cool. And it all starts with when you get there and they welcome you in. And that's why, we ask that. So, you get there. First team All American on floor, 10th OU gymnast to be named Big 12 Newcomer of the Year, only freshman to earn all Big 12 honors. You know, individually, before we get into the team stuff, I don't know if you had any expectations that you had set before yourself of what you wanted to try to do, but based upon what you did you meet or exceed your expectations you had when you got there?
I definitely exceeded them. I didn't really know what to expect going on to Oklahoma. And I kind of just, I'm a very go with the flow kind of person. So going in there, I just wanted to go out there and do my best. And I think any honors that I got, I was just in awe because I was just so happy to be there and it's amazing.
Yeah, so I was able to see you in person your freshman year. It was kind of a tough time for me. I had already had everything set up to come to Baton Rouge. Kaya Johnson is like family to me and Daniel. She obviously had the Achilles injury at Kentucky the week before. Still went anyway. We had three other guests on the team. Plus, just wanted to be there in that atmosphere. But watch Oklahoma. Me and Daniel talked about. Daniel was the one that said I called him up, Faith, and I said should I go or like I don't know, like Kaya's hurt. I feel like Oklahoma's that good. I don't want to just go watch us lose and Kaya not perform. And he said you would be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't go watch Oklahoma compete in person. So I went, I got to see you compete in the all around, but I want to ask you because I've now been to like 10 meets total in the PMAC, and it's just a very electric atmosphere. So, for you as a road opponent, just how cool did you think the atmosphere was in Baton Rouge?
The atmosphere was crazy. It was honestly like amazing. And we like talked about it a little bit before the meet. We're like, all right, like we haven't been in like an atmosphere like this yet. And everybody's like, all right, like no biggie, whatever. But hearing them when we came out for touches, it was crazy. And it was amazing, honestly.
But to no surprise, like I mean, y'all were everything that was advertised, everything that Daniel told me to see. Just Oklahoma. The best way I've always put it is just it's a well-oiled machine. Like I mean, y'all just nail everything, and so y'all took care of business. Like I said, it was one of the things I was kind of worried about, especially with the loss of Kaya. Was proud of that LSU team and the way that they were able to make it to the final for despite every loss they had and the adversity they had, and I think it kind of helped building into the upcoming year. But for your team, y'all obviously took care of business. Y'all won the championship. You know, you go there for that reason, and when you go there for that reason, it's one thing that's what you go there for the expectation, but it's another thing when you do it, when you actually accomplish the very thing that you set out to do. Just how fulfilling is it, knowing that you made the right decision, you picked the right school, and it was all worthwhile because you're coming home with the hardware after that first year.
Yeah. Well, everybody on the team would always talk about it like you cannot picture the feeling until you actually feel it. So after during that floor rotation, honestly, like everybody was just so electric, like everything that they did, everybody was screaming. And so after Danae went, it was just like you could just feel it in your heart. You're like, wow, like that happened. And so watching Danny perform, knowing that we won, it was just a blast. And like it felt like everything paid off. But it was amazing. And they were so right about that feeling. Like you can't really imagine that feeling until it happens to you.
Absolutely. So the question is, coming into this past season, when you've already won the championship as a freshman, how do you motivate yourself to, stay hungry? We obviously had to ask Jordan and Danielle that as well, but for you personally, what do you say to yourself? Because one championship's cool, but two's better, obviously for them, three's better. Like, what are you gonna do to say, this isn't it? Like, I've got to keep getting better individually, but as a team, we got to keep better. And let's go out there and do this again.
Yeah. Well, once again, I think bringing back that feeling of winning, everybody kind of knew what that feeling is and they wanted to feel it again. And I think that's really what motivated us throughout the whole season.
So you look at freshman year, obviously the floor is what stuck out, but you decided to go in this past year, end up being the NCAA balance beam champion, NCAA first team All American in beam and floor, the runner up on the floor exercise with a 9.95, which I was able to once again see in person. You were able to show up, be one of the best in the country, but as I talk about it, right, like the first year you were known more for one thing, talking about your versatility and being able to do multiple events, just how much pride do you have in the fact that you didn't just be known as a floor person, but you were known as the beam and not just a beam person, but the best?
Yeah, it was awesome. It just shows how much like hard work I've been trying to put in the gym and seeing it like come to life is really awesome. And even just like growing from last season, I think it's just really awesome to see this happen. So
So Daniel, I mean, with everything we've talked about with Beam, like, we're talking to my like real life hero right here, like, because Beam is it for me. Like, they talk about the hardest thing to do in sports, Faith, and I'm convinced there's nothing harder to do in Beam. In Fort Worth, I was sitting front row and recorded both session one and session two right there in front of the beam. I got everybody's beam exercise. I got when people fell. I got people when stuck it. I'll use an example of somebody we've had on the show I absolutely love, but showing the slightest thing. Luisa Blanca was coming with three backs, and on the third one, she just ever so slightly left foot, edged the side of the beam, and she slid off, which just shows the margin for error. And it's so much different than TV when I have that view right there and I'm watching it up close, and it just shows the precision. So, I say all that. I'm not kidding. Like, the fact that you won the beam champion, like you're top dog. I mean, like that's a pretty big deal. And when it comes to sports, that says a lot. We watch it. Me and Daniel cover and watch every sport, and like I think you're the elite. So shout out to you on that. But let's go to Vegas. We got to go there. Y'all started with the Super 16. Just what was it like? I mean, when you look, me and Daniel talked about it. Like, I kind of wanted to go there. Like, it was a trip that I really didn't have the expenses for, but I was like, Vegas, look at these teams competing to start the season. How awesome was it for y'all to be there and compete amongst the best of the best just to open the season?
yeah, there was Vegas always has like amazing teams that go there, especially for like the first meet, which is crazy, but it's always such a fun meet to go to. It's crazy to have it as your first meet with all those amazing teams. But it's a great meet to go to. And honestly, like it's probably one of my favorite meets to go to. But yeah, it's amazing competing with all those great teams.
What Daniel wants to know is, did you get to see Mean Girls? And if so, what did you think?
Yes, yes, I did get to see Mean Girls. It was definitely different. I'm not a fan of the whole singing musical kind of thing. Um, but I thought it was great. Like it was funny.
Daniel, I
Jim
haven't
is
watched it yet.
disappointed now.
Yeah, have you, hold on,
Jim
Daniel,
loves
have
those
you watched?
movies.
Yeah, we've had multiple guests talk about it. Have you watched it yet?
Uh, you realize I have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old, so
So
you know
is
how
that your way
much
of saying
TV.
yes?
That's my way of saying no. I mean,
Well, so if I come there like we've talked about this summer, look, it's gonna be the weirdest thing ever for two grown men, but can we do a Mean Girls date night?
no, that would just be silly.
Come on, bro. We've had too many guests talk about this movie. We got to give it our own review.
I don't.
Fine, I'm gonna watch it tonight after this episode. I'm giving.
I mean, that's a shame, man. You see this Faith? I haven't seen him face to face in some years, and he
year.
wants
I
to
was
watch
there last
me.
year. Stop it. I
Not
know
now
because you
you
put
weren't.
me through that vigorous workout routine where I about died with that vest on in 100
That
degree
wasn't
temperature.
that wasn't last year, man.
Whatever.
I'm just
Anyway,
saying. Just saying.
moving on, Faye. So obviously you start with the Super 16. Outside of that, what was your favorite meet of the season? Not postseason, regular season. Obviously, you have a lot of home meets. You go on the road a lot. What was your favorite season or favorite meet of the season? Whether as individual team, what was the one that just sticks out to you?
Um, I definitely love our home meets. I would say the top two favorite meets was the Utah meet, the Sprouts one was that one, I think. I really liked that meet. It was a fun meet. Also another one that stands out to me, which is kind of funny. The home meet that we had, it was like Taylor Swift night or something like that. I'm not a big like Taylor Swift person. I know a couple of her songs. I like her old songs better. But honestly, that one was really fun too. We did a little light moment right before floor touch. All the lights went out. I really like that meet too.
I mean, me and Daniel kept up every week in the domination y'all had. I mean, you could have said any week for your answer.
Mhm.
We would talk about it, whether it was LSU, Florida, Utah, UCLA, whoever. They could have an amazing week, and then Oklahoma's score would pop up, and we'd be like, oh, they would have still lost to Oklahoma. Which is why when we got
By
to
like almost a point.
yeah, which is why, I almost feel like, I put a reverse jinx on y'all, which is fine because I'm an LSU fan. So it worked out in our favor. But I kept telling other LSU fans, there's no way we're beating Oklahoma. They don't mess up their well-oiled machine. And then obviously I'm in Fort Worth to see that y'all have the, first errors of the season. So instead of just elaborating on that, because I don't want to do that to you, let's talk about the bounce back. So going into next year, what's the message? Hey, we have to put what happened in Fort Worth behind us. We have to get back on track because that's not Oklahoma gymnastics. Oklahoma gymnastics is to be the best, and we weren't the best. So, what's the message? And then also, for you right now in the off season, what does your training schedule look like to go along with that?
Yeah. Well, for next year, I feel like it also reflects back on that feeling and what we felt during that meet and what we felt at the end of floor rotation. I think that's really going to be our motivation for next year and making sure that I guess that sort of thing kind of doesn't happen again. And we're going to be really fired up. I can just already tell from everybody on the team, it was a hard meet for all of us emotionally, and so I think that's really going to push us in the right direction. Also in the summer, everybody is kind of spread out right now at home. Some people are at school right now taking a summer class. It just depends. But training schedule is you can go into like your old summer gym, like your old club gym. That's what I've been doing. I go in and I won't do full gymnastics, but I'll do basics and conditioning, stuff like that, just keeping in shape. And then we'll go back to school and we'll start summer training, just working on little things, upgrades, anything like that.
So a lot. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin it. I'm gonna ask about Alabama because they struggled in the same meet. So instead of going back down memory lane for Oklahoma, because it's kind of the same thing. Y'all's was vault, theirs was on beam. You obviously killed it on beam. I watched 4 consecutive girls for Alabama fall. Um, Once the first girl falls, obviously the pressure's got to be on the second girl. But I want to ask you, like, when you're that third or fourth gymnast, and you already know you're in competing for a national championship, and you got to be the best. But then, when multiple girls have fallen, you can't afford it at this point because basically that third fall, it puts you out of the meet, because you're gonna have such a low score in one event.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter how elite the gymnast is because I watched 2 of the top gymnasts in the country who were 3 and 4. I just don't even gonna put their name out there. Just how hard is it the pressure when you're that girl and you know that like you have to be perfect now because there's been no margin for error.
Yeah, I think a big thing is really focusing on being yourself because being yourself is just enough. You don't want to focus on being perfect because if you try to be perfect, sometimes it doesn't work out in your favor. You try too hard. That's what I try to think in situations like that. So after beam, when we had a fall, that's kind of what my mentality goes to. And some people even reflect like if they see that fall happen, sometimes they think and they do like mad gymnastics. That's kind of what we call it. So when Davis went up there, I could tell that she was very focused, very great. She did an awesome routine. But some gymnasts go up there and they do mad gymnastics.
Well,
And
what I will say is Oklahoma and Alabama, the next events, they killed it. Like, so for Alabama, they went to floor, and those same girl, two of the same girls that fell, absolutely killed their floor team. So I give them props for overcoming the adversity, but in real time, it was just hard. And I think you're right, because I think they were trying to overcompensate, because you could just see, one of the things I saw in the first, row was just the frustration on their face. But even going into it, it just seemed like the you could, feel the stress level coming off them. You could see the team. We talk about the camaraderie. The energy wasn't the same. I think everybody could feel that pressure. And I don't know how y'all do it, honestly. And especially when other in those specific events, you got the other events going on. You got music from different things. You got the crowd going wild when the floor routine, like the distraction level, how concentrated you got to be, especially on like any of the events, but specifically beam. I just, once again, I commend y'all. Y'all are elite.
mhm.
Absolutely. Faith, I'll ask you this before we have a little fun and play a game. Do you think if you could fast forward to the end of next year, let's say Oklahoma wins a national championship again, do you think this past season not winning was necessary to win it all next season?
That's a good question. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that we needed this, but I would also say we kind of needed this to fuel mad gymnastics, I guess you could say. Um, but I think if we went and we won next year, we would definitely look back at this and we would take a lot from it, and just really take it all in and realize that it's a privilege to be on Final Four, and to have that feeling because not everybody can have that feeling of winning. And I think we'll definitely take a lot from this into next season.
Definitely. You know, this is what stories and movies are made of. When you have some success and then you have some struggle and then you're able to overcome it, and have more success. So I'm confident in just the culture, the program, the elite talent that you guys have there. I'm confident that you're going to be a team to be reckoned with for
I mean,
sure.
Daniel, the biggest mistake is everybody's already looking their eyes back to LSU, forgetting all about Oklahoma.
I mean, LSU's got some worries because the target is now on them, and
But you know what I'm
that's a
saying? Like
tough.
everybody's talking about, can LSU repeat? And it's like y'all forgot who Oklahoma is, right? They're still, to me, even as an LSU fan, even watching them win the championship, Daniel, Oklahoma's the favorite. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And got some much needed time off to maybe, I don't know. Do you enjoy the the off season? Like I mean, I guess you have some structure, but it's not as like rigorous, in the gym and maybe not as pressure filled. Like you can go and kind of enjoy it a little more. Do you like that? Or would you rather like have the level of structure and like intensity of the season to practice?
Well, I like a little bit of both. But the summer like training is always real fun. You get to mess around with a couple different things if you want to. But I think this year a lot of us are really like antsy because we want to go back into season like right
Right.
away.
And that's the
But
thing. Like it I think you guys are like, this season can't start soon enough. Like I'm pumped. I'm excited. I guess eager is the right word. Like you're chomping at the bit to kind of get past what happened so you can kind of turn the page. Cause I don't think until the next season starts is when that chapter of the year is completely over with. Then you can start really focusing on what the task at hand. So,
Yeah.
um, whatever it is, just be safe this summer. Obviously have a lot of fun, get better. And, with that, we'd like to play a little game called This or That. You down to play? All right. So it's very simple. So we have a lot of baseball guys on here. And
Mhm.
so I have to make the games very simple for these guys. So this is going to be a just easy game for you. But I will say this, I'll give you two options. All you got to do is pick one option. Can't say both, can't say neither. Just be decisive and go with one. Go with your gut, go with your heart, go with your brain, whatever it is, just pick one.
Okay.
Jim, This or That is brought to you by
Chinook Cedary, 8 flavors, mild to wild. Daniel, you know how good they are? I stopped by Bucky's on my way home from Knoxville. They don't have anything but original because they're sold out. Now, I messaged the owner. I said, hey, this is unacceptable. He says, bro, we've been selling so many seeds. We're backed up. It's still a problem, Daniel, but it's also a good problem because it's the best seeds in the game.
Yep. So Faith, what you may not understand is sunflower seeds come in two sizes, regular or jumbo. And most seed companies are going to charge you double and extra for the jumbo. Chinook doesn't. Their seeds are always jumbo no matter what, and the flavors are the best. They're seeds that you could eat all day, every day. You could eat them on the go, quick pick me up if you're on the field. They're good for any occasion. You know what else they're good for? Bus rides, plane rides. They're good for
Daniel,
anything.
are you saying we should just cross another? We've done so many things that were first on the show. Are you saying we should get a gymnast, maybe even Faith is the first Chinook ambassador in gymnastics?
I'll take it a step further. Yes, to that question, but my push is the Chinook Classic in Bora Bora.
Yeah.
That's where
Oh,
we're
I
headed.
will if we make that happen, I'm just retired, bro. We've accomplished our mission here.
We've done it all. We've done it all at that point. All right, Faith, let's get into this game. First question. Would you rather cook out, hop on the grill, have some friends over, do a little barbecue, maybe at the pool, or would you rather just go out to eat?
Cookout.
Yeah. What do you like? Hamburgers, hot dogs, steaks, chicken, mashed
Hamburger.
potatoes?
Oh yeah. And chicken for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Fast car or a luxury car?
Mm, luxury car.
Daniel, I gotta tell you something. I know you're on social media. So Knoxville was perfect, right? Get home, I wash and wax my car today. There's a big old scratch on the front. Knoxville is no longer perfect. Who hit my car? Where are you? You owe me some money.
Oh my gosh.
You probably hit it.
I did not hit
Would you rather trip and fall or pass gas in public?
Trip and fall.
No. Why did
Yeah.
you're an elite level athlete. Tripping and falling is embarrassing. Pass gas and say I'm sorry.
It would be rather ironic if the best beamer in the country tripped and fell. Like I would be like, really?
A lot of us are actually like that. I feel like we trip and fall like all the time. And people are just like, aren't you a gymnast? Like, don't you walk on a beam? And I'm like, yeah, but I guess walking on a floor is just something else. Like,
Wait, I'll
it
tell you. I
It's the
told Daniel,
shoes. You're not used to having shoes on.
wait, I'll tell you, I told Daniel I almost died the other day. I was texting and walking, not paying attention, and then I just walked onto the steps. And we're not talking about like a little flight of steps. We're talking like 40 steps. And if it wasn't because I was so close to the rail, I stepped off that first one and luckily I landed onto the railing and caught myself. I'm pretty sure with the amount of steps there, broken neck is at minimum on this. And so thank goodness, good Lord was looking over me. But yeah, here I am, 40 years old, texting and walking, acting like one of these young kids. Got to do better.
I mean, two things could have happened, Faith. It could have been just me and you tonight on this podcast, or we could have been doing a live episode from the hospital, which I mean, either way would have turned out great.
You're better off now.
So, would you rather do beam or floor if you could only compete in one of those, beam or floor?
Floor.
Why? Why floor?
I always say to myself, like, I always tell people this too, like, you know how some people before like they compete, they're very like focused and like they won't talk to anybody, and or some of them step out of the arena, like Jordan Bauer, she steps out of the arena. Um, but I think before floor, I have the most fun. Just dancing to everybody's music keeps me warm. And then I also think to myself, like, you can't fall off the floor. Beam, you can fall off. Like you can fall on the floor. Of course, that'll happen, whatever. But I think I like competing floor more mentally, and dancing and having fun. I think it really helps me.
Be honest. You get sick of dancing for everybody's floor routine, right? That's I mean, I know I personally would. I just be like, again.
I like watching the coaches nail it. Like
Yeah.
they're over there and they're doing every single one of their girls' routine, and it's like, and they're not just doing it; they're over there killing it. It's like, get on out there.
But my thing is, Faith, is like, if you are the athlete that is doing floor, do you even notice your teammates doing it with you? Like,
Sometimes, sometimes I like put my corners kind of like where I start my floor routine. It kind of depends on where my teammates are. Especially for this year, like I really liked my beginning, and kind of doing like a motion with my hands, and I would look at my teammates really quick and they would all be like, and I really love that. So like I would base it off where my teammates were
An,
standing.
an underrated part of floor that you can't see as much on TV that you can see if you're in person close up, the facial expressions y'all make when y'all land things, and depending on the person, sometimes it's just excitement, or I like to use Finnegan, right? She does like this smirk. Anyway,
Yeah.
I love like being able to see y'all's facial expressions based upon what's happening and going on. Anyway, it's kind of one of those things that most people probably don't pay attention to, but it's fun watching y'all because you can kind of get the emotions off of y'all.
Yeah, it's just totally different in person compared to on TV.
Yeah, the music is the biggest thing that's obviously you hear it, but you just don't hear it the same. It's just I recommend to anyone who's listening, if you haven't went and watched college gymnastics in person, you're missing out.
definitely. So, Faith, we haven't talked much about vault and bars. Are you a big fan? And if you're not, or
I mean,
if you
I've
are,
watched her do both, so I know she can do it.
which do you prefer?
Out of vault and bars, I think I would prefer vault over bars.
Sounds like she doesn't like either.
Yeah. I mean, you can't say neither. So she did pick one. I'm proud of you for that. But what is it? What is it just you like it, you do it because it's a part of it. But your real passion is beam and floor, or it's just you
Yeah.
know what you're best at. I say good or best, but you're good at them all. But like obviously in your eyes, you're probably better at one or two over the others.
Yeah. Well, I never really had the great, like, some people are naturally good at bars. I was not one of those people. If you were to ask me probably like 8 years ago if I would be competing bars in college, I would have told you no and probably laughed a little bit. My bars has evolved tremendously. Ever since I went to Legacy, they really helped me on my bars. and they really help me with confidence and everything. Like I don't hate bars, but it's just I just have other favorites rather than bars, I guess you could say.
Do you practice bars every day?
Yes.
Let's see, that's the right answer. There you go. So it's not to the point where you're like, I despise doing this. I'm not gonna do it. Because I mean, over the summer, like it's easy, to go, you know what? No, just not gonna do it today.
Yeah.
Um, so sports radio or sports podcast? Some people are radio people, some people are podcast people. Which are you? Which do you prefer?
And just to be clear, I know we're a podcast, but Daniel's podcast, I'm radio, so no offense will be taken. We get it. You can be one of the
I would say podcast.
I like podcasts because it's a la carte. I can pick what I want to listen to. I don't have to go through the whole show to get the 15 minutes that I want to hear. And a lot of the sports radio, like if you listen to one show on ESPN radio, you will hear the same thing in all the other shows.
But
So
Daniel, you know how I said Memphis was good? So when I was traveling to Knoxville to watch Tennessee, I had to hear for 3 hours about the Tennessee Titans, which is not mine and your cup of tea. So I think when I told you that, local Memphis sports, we're from Memphis. We root for those teams, so it's fun to hear about them. When I had to hear about a team that wasn't our team, it was like, oh, like, and the problem was I couldn't go to another station because it was like old country music.
Um,
Faith,
old
not me.
country music.
I'm not talking about 90s music either. I'm talking about like old, like my grandfather would listen to.
Wow.
Hmm.
Not me, man. Not my thing. All right. Moving on. Would you rather wrestle a bear or wrestle a tiger? We know that both of them are going to get the best of you. But if you could last longer with one or the other, which would you choose?
I think a bear. I feel like tigers are faster than bears. So
Absolutely.
I definitely have to say a bear.
Yeah, I think you're right. The only thing about the bear is that you if you're
Daniel,
gonna wrestle, you're gonna be in close contact with something. And like
Mhm.
I don't think the bear is the one. I just don't.
the thing is, Daniel, a lot of guests have came on here and say it's much cooler to lose to a tiger, and that's where I resonate. Like it would be cooler to fight a tiger just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the tiger's the sexy pick, but I mean, you it's life or death. I mean, you gotta really weigh your options here. So
Yeah, like one of my really close friends, she used to talk about how she would always want to, like, not like her way of going would be to die in a shark attack because she thought it would be so cool. Like, if she was gonna go, that's the way she would want to go. And I was like, who thinks about something like that?
I've seen those movies, and I'm not trying to be the first one at all.
not at all. So I was told that we have breaking news. I don't know what it is, Faith, but Jim has promised me something big here.
Hold on, I
So
got
when he's got the phone out, that means something's popping. So what do we got here?
this is my breaking news music. We've never done this before. So I've talked with the owner of Chinook Eatery, Faith Torres. Would you, in fact, like to be the first ambassador in gymnastics of Chinook Eatery NIL deal right here on the spot? Obviously, there's paperwork involved, but I'm asking you, you get to break through barriers, and it's already something that's going to happen in general. It's just an option of whether you want to be first, because he already told me he's been in talks with the nutritionist at Oklahoma, and it's something that is going to be on campus anyway. So basically, it's giving you an option to be the lead face in person on this. Are you interested?
Yes, that would be so cool. Oh my
Daniel,
God.
we've made a lot of things happen, but not right here on air. I messaged him. He got back to me quick. I think he got excited. When you talk about the beam national champion, I think he was excited because baseball players, softball players, they're the norm.
Yeah, that is so cool. Oh my God.
Could you imagine how amazing it would be if she's just cracking seeds right there on the floor? She's like,
I think that's a little messy, but
hit.
I can see her, as you said, on the bus ride. We can get the bus ride trip, spin in the cup, the whole team's passing seeds. Look, we kind of dialed it down for you. It's 8 flavors. Mile the Wild. Daniel here mixes flavors. He does the barbecue with the toast and calls it, get this, smoking toast. Daniel is a genius right here. Anyway,
Smoky smokehouse barbecue and cinnamon toast. It's very
Daniel,
good.
I've had at least 10 different athletes try it, come back to me. They said you're a magician, right? Like,
I
as a
mean,
matter of fact, you need to get back into the lab. You need to come up with a couple more. I know you did a few, but we're getting into peak postseason baseball. These guys, they need something more. You've just kind of cracked into it, but now we're hitting gymnastics, and Faith is going to need you to bring just a little bit more, bro.
okay. Gotcha. Done. But the good news is, Faith, we got you covered. We're gonna have some seeds sent your way. We'll
I'm gonna
take
need a
care of
poster
you.
on my wall too. I'm hitting up the athletic collection after this
I
episode.
mean, look at this. Look, we got deals upon deals. All right, Faith. It's been a long night. I got one more question for you before we let you bounce, and this is the big one. All right. So I come to you and I say, Faith, here is a briefcase, and it's full of crispy, minty, fresh, newly printed, counted, bundled $100 bills to the sum of $10 million. I say, Faith, you can take this briefcase or you can take this national championship. So you either take 10 million or you win a national championship next year. Which do you pick?
That's something. Um,
This is this is the easiest question that I've asked you all night.
Is it though? Is
It
it
is.
though?
It
For
is.
you,
And
it's easy. She's
it
the one
no.
still competing, bro.
yeah.
Look, don't here's what I'm gonna tell you. Don't be greedy. All right.
Daniel sold me his for 100K. I have
Don't
his. Look, I'm a national champion. I wear it everywhere. People don't even know. I'm lying. I'm just kidding. This is my fantasy football
that's
ring, but
false.
Daniel does have one. Daniel, show her yours. Show her yours. Daniel, how much can I get that for real?
For 100K.
There it is. See, that's why I said that. He told me,
New
I said,
special
you're just saying that. I said, you're just
95K
saying that.
cash tonight.
Faith, I said, you're just saying that for the people. He goes, boy, you send me 100K, I will mail it tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll run it to you.
Oh my gosh.
So, don't be greedy. Take the money. You already got a national championship. Just
Is that bad to say?
I don't think so.
All
I
right,
think
here's
that's
here's
a
here's the
great
pressure I'm going to
decision.
put you under. Jordan Bauer said that she'll take a third championship before she took the money.
Well, that is just greedier
Oh,
than
you gave her no. See, here's do you watch Survivor by chance, Faith?
I've seen a couple episodes.
So you know who Q is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when I said we were live, we were at Q's watch party. He heard what she said. He kicked me off my headset and took it and told her that she was crazy, that she would take a championship over that kind of money. He was talking about what he could do with that kind of money. Anyway, Daniel said he couldn't even hear what he was saying. He was so energetic. He could not believe she would take a championship over that kind of money.
the irony now. The irony in that now.
Gosh.
That dude just gave away $1 million.
Well, that wasn't on purpose. He's just not good at the game, bro.
That's
Daniel
the thing.
Goes, have you seen the episode
He didn't
yet?
have to be good at this game.
He goes, Faith, he goes, you seen the episode yet? I said, no. He goes, well, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to tell you that our boy is the worst player to ever play this game. And
I love Q, but I don't. Anyhow, that's enough. So back to the question at hand, because no answer has been given yet, Faith.
Yeah.
That's not how this game works.
Just so you don't feel alone if you want to take the money. One last comment from me. We had Reagan Rutherford, Kentucky gymnast. She had just won a championship from Kentucky volleyball, and
Mhm.
she said she would give it back for $10 million. So,
My
if you
gosh.
indeed said money, there's other guests that have said it, but just specifically a recent female athlete who said money over, you wouldn't be alone.
Just think of the two types of movies that could happen here. If you went back to school and you took a championship, Disney would come after you. But if you didn't, there'd be a Netflix documentary so quick.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I would watch it too because I'm all about trash TV. I would love that. But the choice is yours. There's no judgment either way.
Yeah. Um, wow. I mean, $10 million, that's a lot. I feel
Life changing money.
I feel like I would definitely take money.
We appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
but now I'm going to drop some stats for you and to make you feel bad. I'm going to flip it on you. You are the 11th guest out of 356 to say they take the money. That's how little people take the money.
but you know what's crazy is you're one of the 11 smartest guests we've ever had on this show.
I
What's
feel like
funny is the majority of the 11 are national champion winners, Daniel, which makes your point, right? They were willing to say they would give it back because
Uh,
they've been there and they realize what the money can do. But I will flip
Definitely.
it. Paul Skeens still has me thinking, right? The guy had just signed a $10 million contract and he had just won a national championship. I said, I give the money back. I just want to keep my championship. So I don't know. I'm torn. I'm torn.
um,
The
Daniel said
money,
he would
the
cut me away because it used to be, would you keep your friends or would you take the money? That was the way the question used to be in the early seasons. And Daniel was like, I will lose everybody in my life for $10
yep,
million and buy new friends.
yep.
I don't think I would go that far, but
I would. I don't need a Jim Cross in my life if I got 10 million Krispies in my bank.
oh my
I,
gosh.
I
We're
say all
terrible. We're
that. That
terrible
makes me
people.
sound really, really bad. I've been friends with Jim forever, so but I don't have $10
And
million
to
either. So
tolerate me is more than to tolerate a Daniel
uh,
Severs. That's for sure.
for sure, for sure. All right, Faith. The time has come. We must let you depart. It's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. Anything you want to plug or promote before we get out of here?
Um, I don't think so. I'm doing a lot of camps over the summer, and I would really like for people to sign up so I can meet and work with all these young athletes. I'm doing an Apex camp. Um, spots are limited. I'm also doing Audrey Davis's camp. I'm going to be working that, so I would really love to work with a lot of young athletes. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. Also, the Oklahoma camp, of course. That one's always really fun. So, yeah.
Well, I'll go a step further. If anybody wants to know what Faith's up to, head on over to Instagram at faith.torres. Or if you want to get hyped, if you want to see what world-class college gymnastics looks like, going over to at OU_W gymnastics, and you'll see the Oklahoma gym team do amazing things and post scores that are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like not just like barely beating teams, but like punishing teams. Like I feel like that's y'all's mantra. Hey, we're not just gonna win, we're going to beat the hell out of you. All right. So just enjoy
I got a
this.
question for you on the camps. If you weren't in Tampa, Florida, if you were close, I mean, Bella's going to this camp, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's got 2 weeks of dance camp. She's got 2 weeks of gymnastics. She's got um normal gymnastics every week and normal dance every week. But yeah, 4 of her 6 weeks off are gonna be filled with camps. So the reality is, yeah, like if I had the ability to send her to get instruction from Faith, I'm doing it. Doing it. Apex camp, Audrey Davis camp, OU camp. I mean, if I could do it, I would. She'd be at all of them.
So
Every
you
single
have the
one of them.
ability. Don't waste this opportunity.
True. Very true. Faith, it's been a blast. We wish you relaxing, recharge a little bit over the summer. Stay healthy. That's the most important thing. And hone in on your craft, do what you got to do. And we would love to talk some gym with you when you guys come back. You down to do that?
Yeah, it was awesome talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And who knows? It could be a Disney story in the making, overcome everything and win another national championship. That would be the ultimate high of all highs. So we hope that for you. We wish that for you. And if there's anything we can do for you along the way, please reach out.
Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. That's Faith Torres, everybody. We're going to take a quick little break. And then when we come back, we got a lot of SEC baseball to talk. We got social media rants to talk about. Jim's gonna sound off, but most importantly, in off the bench survivor game. We are down to our final three. We're gonna hit that up. So stick around and we'll talk soon.